Welcome back to Cannabis Coast to Coast News, and this is the final section or the C block of our program today. I'm Alaina Pinto. Final reminder to remember to download the PCMTV app from the Google Play or App Store. Just remember to put a space between PCM and TV so you can get to the app right away, and then you'll have access to everything we do. You can stay up to date on all the stories and challenges being faced in the cannabis industry. Next up, the Chicago clone guy, Mark Allen, with the Illinois Cannabis Report.
What's up, everybody? Chicago clone guy Mark Allen here with Bird. Tuning in from just outside of Chicago, Illinois for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Thanks for tuning in. Lots of stuff always going on in Chicagoland. First thing we're going to talk about is the February cannabis sales is actually down in Illinois. This is the lowest it's actually been for February since 2019. So I don't know what everybody's problem is. Get out there and smoke more weed in Illinois. Come out, do it with us. But I'm sure it'll pick it back up here. But numbers are low, but it'll pick back up. Another thing that I just found out happened last week was an event. It's actually called the Flower Expo. It's the first time I've heard of it. And it's literally a corporatized event with vendors and breeders and commercial growers and dispensaries and whatnot, just like any other big show. Kind of reminded me of NECANN, except it was consumption and it was more hippie vibe with the corporate vibe, which was pretty different. I didn't attend, but I definitely wanted to attend, but I saw pretty cool videos of it on YouTube. And it's a little bigger than I thought. The next stop where the Flower Expo is going to be is actually in Massachusetts and then Michigan this year. So they travel around. Expo seems pretty cool. More interesting news in Illinois. A suburb of Chicago called Oak Park, Illinois, is considering making hemp 21 or the age or older to purchase, just like alcohol. The rest of the state, there's no age requirement to buy hemp, but Oak Park is considering requiring it you to be 21 years old to purchase any hemp products in Oak Park. I mean, they're not really a big town, it's not really a big city, but hey, if that's what the town wants, it's what the town wants. But anyways, that's the news for Chicago, Illinois, and surrounding areas for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'm Mark Allen. Checking out.
In Missouri this week, regulatory officials transferred more than $23 million collected from cannabis sales taxes to a veterans group and the Health and Human Services Department for substance abuse programs. Missouri continues to set an example for other states on how to roll out a successful, safe adult use cannabis market. Last week, Joe Parsons was in mourning for the second straight year when the governor there, Glenn Youngkin, vetoed an adult use law passed by that state Senate and House. This week, Joe is licking his wounds and ready for another battle while counting the days before his governor's term is up. Here's Joe.
I'm Joe Parsons with the Virginia Cannabis Connection by Higher Education's Coffee Talk, sponsored by 97.5 3WB and reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. The Virginia Cannabis Control Authority has announced that after 3 years of service, the current acting head and chief officer of regulatory policy and external affairs, Jeremy Priest, will be stepping down from his current position. Jeremy played a crucial role in the early development of the VCCA. Virginia's current medical operations were first handled by the Virginia Board of Pharmacy. When adult use and recreational laws passed in 2021, the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority was born, but not only to handle the current medical market, but the potential adult use market once signed into law. The VCCA's board of directors has designated Jamie Patton as the new acting head. With the current veto again of adult use, it is unclear how this new leadership will affect current regulations. But we as Virginian medical card holders can only hope that since the recreational market has been further stalled, that perhaps additional licenses will be offered to allow growth in the medical market, to allow better access and affordability for its patients in the Commonwealth. I wish her all the best. In some well-needed positive news, my own investigation of cannabis-related illegal markets, I found a decrease in arrest and a major decrease of reported pop-up market stores in the last 6 months since I began collecting data. With more Virginians growing their own and seeing the aftermath of the last major takedown in Bedford County last year, many market operators are now using THCA flower as a way to stay in with the current laws. THCA is currently legal and does not fall under the VCCA guidelines. However, the products and the harvesting standards are not tested and can lead to a safe marketplace. And it does nothing to benefit the current economy. We have to continue to work with the lawmakers that will one day make sure we have a safe and regulated retail market that'll benefit more than just a select few. Well, that's going to do it for this week from the Virginia Cannabis Connection from Higher Education's Coffee Talk, sponsored by 97.5 3WB in Charlottesville. And as always, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News, I'm Joe Parsons. Until next time, stay lifted.
Planet 13 is one of the largest dispensaries in the world, if not the largest. After all, the Las Vegas-based dispensary opened in 2018 with 112,000 square feet. This year at MJ BizCon, PCMTV founder Jimmy Young visited the world's largest dispensary. I mean, check out the size of this place. On their quarterly earnings call this past week, Planet 13 announced plans to pump the brakes on their expansion plans. They were hoping to take advantage of the state of Florida's passing of adult use legalization, but when that failed to pass, Planet 13 downshifted. With more from Nevada and the tribal lands, here's Tina Tasaka.
I'm Tina Tasaka with 420 Technologies, and this is the Nevada and Tribal Nations Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Planet 13 Holdings, Las Vegas, a leading vertically integrated multi-state cannabis company, today announced more grand openings of dispensaries in Florida. The 31st location, a 3,400 square foot dispensary in Port Richey, celebrated its grand opening on March 28th and 29th. Following that, the 32nd dispensary opened its doors in Orange Park on April 4th and 5th. The 4,600 square foot facility serves the medical cannabis community in Jacksonville and is open every day of the year. Brass Knuckles, a legacy cannabis brand, is making a bold return to Nevada through a partnership with Caliente Partners Group. This relaunch features premium all-in-one products in distillate, live resin, and liquid diamonds, plus enhanced transparency via Lucid Green's authentication tech. With a focus on quality, innovation, and consumer trust, Brass Knuckles is now available at select dispensaries like Planet 13, Hardin, and Shango. The Omnibus Cannabis Policy was passed in Minnesota on April 4th, and it has updates pertaining to the Minnesota tribal nations. As stated previously, Minnesota's 11 tribal nations already operate dispensaries on tribal land, ahead of the recreational commercial market launch of 2025. Here's a summary breakdown of the key changes and additions. In the Office of Cannabis Management, OCM, they are officially recognized as a state agency. They are authorized to engage directly with tribal governments on marijuana and hemp issues. In tribal collaborations and protections, tribal medical cannabis boards gain more authority. Patients in tribal or out-of-state programs can access cannabis in Minnesota with a valid registration card. Edible cannabinoid product rules have stricter labeling, testing, and packaging requirements. It also prohibits synthetic cannabinoids like THCO and HHC unless specifically approved. It also now allows on-site consumption at licensed locations. That's it for the Nevada highlights and tribal nations. I'm Tina Tasaka with 420 Technologies and Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
There's big news out of Oklahoma this week. Oklahomans for Responsible Cannabis Action filed proposed a constitutional amendment for next year's ballot question that would pave the way for an adult use market in that state. Our Oklahoman who uses cannabis responsibly is Kimmie Cannabis, and here's her report this week.
I'm Kimmie Cannabis with Can I Talk About It with the Oklahoma Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Oklahoma is once again pushing to legalize adult use cannabis. After several failed attempts in 2022 and 2023, a new initiative, State Question 837, has been filed by ORCA, the Oklahoma Responsible Cannabis Action Group. ORCA's attempt in 2022 didn't make it to the ballot. However, another group raised the signatures for SQ 820. Unfortunately, it was set for a low turnout special election and ultimately failed with just 25% voter participation. Orca now aims to collect 173,000 signatures to qualify SQ837, with hopes for the 2025 or 2026 ballot. In other news, on March 25th, a product recall and embargo has been issued by the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority after one company voluntarily reported an investigation led to similar issues with another grow. OMMA commended the businesses for their transparency and cooperation, which played a key role in quickly removing the affected products from dispensary shelves and protecting patient health. Patients should check batch numbers at omma.ok.gov/recall. If there's a match, dispose of the product safely or contact the dispensary where it was purchased. That's it for the Oklahoma Cannabis Update. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
And finally tonight, we all know that last week was April Fool's Day, and this year Apple got into the act by releasing a new iBong. Yes, Apple announced they were rolling out this exclusive device that costs $1,999 and will only use Apple cables and accessories, of course. You knew something was up, though, when the announcement came from VP of Product Division Trent Vapeworth. And if that didn't get your attention that this might be a joke, the announcement was written by Chip Dankerson. You have to admit, it was pretty clever, especially when the description says it will revolutionize the way you get high. The Bong 3000 features Face ID activation, titanium aeration chambers, and an unremovable mag smoke charging cable that only comes in one color, space resin. You might even hear from Siri, who asks, "You seem paranoid. Maybe go outside." Needless to say, this product never really existed, but give Apple some credit for normalizing cannabis on April Fool's Day. Right. That's this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'm Alaina Pinto. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. Consume responsibly, and we'll see you next time. Wait, no, we won't. There's more. We leave you now with a clip from Good Feels, Jason Reposa's podcast. This week, he invited PCMTV founder Jimmy Young as his in-studio guest, and I guarantee you will learn something about Jimmy that you never knew before. Okay, that's it. We'll see you next time.
This or that, what'll they say?
Flower or vape?
Neither now.
Indoor or outdoor?
Yes.
All of it. Would you have free rolls or loose flower?
Yes.
So you consume whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
How am I doing so far?
Great. High THC or balanced?
Balanced. Hybrid. Sorry.
Do terps matter?
Of course. Yes.
Sativa or indica, or is it all marketing?
It's all marketing because if you buy a hybrid, it doesn't matter, nor should it, because it's terpene profiles, flavonoids, and really and truly how it's grown.
When you consume cannabis, is it an occasional or is it an all day?
It's daily, but usually at night.
Edibles or dabs?
Well, now I take an edible every night with CBN in it, so I'll say edible, especially if my doctor's watching.
Good Vibes, our product. Do you take it straight or do you like to mix it into a drink?
A non-discerning beverage consumer. How's that? I don't really care.
And then if you had a dream smoke session partner, who would that be?
Unfortunately, Jerry Garcia is no longer with us.
Dead or alive?
But I did get to get high with Billy Kreutzmann, who's the drummer, the original drummer of the Dead, and I'd love to do it again. We had a great talk about sports, and the late Brent Midland was in that room, and it was 86 again. I have some story. I told you I left a lot of stories on the table. You got to have me back now.
I think I messed up. Did you know there's a place that covers all the cannabis news you need? Welcome to Pro Cannabis Media, your go-to for all things cannabis. PCM is the CNBC of weed, bringing you the latest news and talk shows with a twist. We've got 16 state correspondents and multimedia journalists from around the US and Canada.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Jones with Be Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report.
I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting with the Arizona Cannabis Report.
I'm Amy Carter from Michigan Weedsters.
Andrew Behringer here reporting from Washington, D.C.
Debbie Fazy with the Canadian Toke of the Week.
It all started back in 2018 when founder Jimmy Young kicked off the In the Weeds podcast. His mission? Documenting the fight to end cannabis prohibition. Fast forward to today and we've got Cannabis Coast to Coast with Alaina Pinto, delivering the nation's only TV-style cannabis news show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Cannabis Coast to Coast, PCMTV's weekly roundup of industry news from California to New York. I'm Alaina Pinto.
As of August 2024, PCM has racked up over 1.2 million views and 14.5 million impressions on our YouTube channel. With 15,000 subscribers and growing, our reach is spreading like wildfire. PCM's website, YouTube, Rumble, Discord, Roku, Twitch, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and even our very own PCMTV app. Get your cannabis news fix with Pro Cannabis Media. We're here to keep you informed and entertained. Stay tuned and stay lifted.